Hello and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Wednesday, the 11th of January. My name is Rachael Parker. My pronouns are she and her. I am an Anglican priest, the Anglican Church of Canada, the Diocese of Edmonton, in the beautiful province of Alberta. And I am the priest or the rector for Dayspring Ministries, which is a collaboration of three small town churches, St. Mary's Edgerton, St. Saviour's in Vermilion, and St. Thomas in Wainwright. And I'm glad you're with me today. Now, this is part 2 of my fear talks. Yesterday I talked about the song by Zach Williams called Fear is a Liar, and spoke to you about the idea that when we allow ourselves to feel fear and get overwhelmed by it, we are basically allowing ourselves to be lied to, and we need to stand up against that. Today I'd like to talk about another song. Again, music is huge for me. I love music. And I have had an interesting relationship with Christian music in the past. I go through seasons in my life when I think it's awesome, and then there's seasons in my life when it's the last thing I want to listen to because it feels really hokey. And I think that's more to do with the eras I've lived through with Christian music, and some of the songs. Some of the songs they're not really good. They're not great theologically, and they're just not really good. But then there are some songs that are very powerful. And sometimes I listen to songs I listened to when I was younger and think, I remember I really love this song, but now I can't remember why. So some songs I think are enter into our lives for seasons and don't last forever, and that's okay. Sometimes there are songs that speak to us again and again. That Zach Williams song, Fear is a Liar, was very powerful for me the other day. But there's a song that I have been carrying with me off and on for the last 3.5 months. And that is the song by Josh Baldwin called Stand in Your Love. For those of you who know, on September 21st, my husband, we took him to the hospital, and we found out on the 22nd that he had been diagnosed with congestive heart failure and was in the hospital for 8 days, and we had a lot of questions, a lot happening. And the first night in the hospital, September 21st, I was with him all night in Wainwright. Shout out to the Wainwright little local hospital. The doctors and the nurses were incredible, like absolutely incredible. And all the staff were phenomenal. And then he went to Misericordia in Edmonton, where, again, staff, nurses, doctors, the works. Couldn't have asked for better care. But then that night, the 22nd, I was on my own. I was in a hotel. Didn't know what was happening. We're waiting for tests to be done. I was terrified. So I reached out to a new friend of mine, Trisha. Her husband, Eduardo, is a friend of Rob's and works with him. And she shared with me a song that she and her husband had heard. I believe they said they had heard it at worship the previous Sunday. They're apart right now because Eduardo's working away from home. And so they sort of do FaceTime and worship together from afar and go online for worship, which is absolutely incredible. I love that. But there's this song they heard by Josh Baldwin, and they thought it was beautiful. So Trisha shared it with me. So I Googled, I got off the phone, or I got off a messenger with her, and I Googled it, and it brought me to my knees. Literally, beside the bed in the hotel room, on my knees, praying because I didn't know how to pray. And the fear of what was happening was overwhelming me and giving me a strong sense that nothing was going to be okay, that this was the end of my life as I knew it. I was going to lose my husband, my best friend, the only man I've ever loved. My whole world was going to be turned upside down. How was I ever going to be a priest again because of what I was feeling? I was feeling a lot of doubt and a lot of anger. And so Trisha shared this song with me, and I was listening to it, and I fell to my knees, and I started to pray. And then I realized I need this song, so I downloaded it off Google onto my phone, and I listened to it a few times that night before I finally fell asleep. It took me till about 3 a.m. before I fell asleep. Got up in the morning, had my phone turned, like the music turned off on my phone because I needed to turn the GPS on so I could figure out how to get to the hospital. I am not generally directionally challenged, but in Edmonton, I have no bloody clue where I'm going. So to get from the hotel to the hospital, I plugged in the GPS, the address, and I put it on, and I got in the car and plugged it in. And normally, as soon as I put in my Apple CarPlay, it pops up with the map and where you want to go. It did that, and as I was backing out of my spot, saying, turn right when you come out of the parking lot, all of a sudden, that song started to play. I didn't push play. It wasn't even the last song that I listened to before I turned my music off. I'd had it on when I was in the shower getting ready for the day, and I'd been listening. I had it on play and had many different songs playing, and yet I'm in the car, and all of a sudden, didn't take my map off. I could still see the map, so I knew where I was going. But this song, Stand in Your Love, played on its own. All of a sudden, out of the blue, it played. And it played, and it played, and it played. It was on repeat. It kept on playing. And I really do believe that was God helping me. That I didn't choose it to be on repeat. I didn't even push play for the song to come up. But the words, stand in your love. When fear overwhelms me, I need to stand in God's love. This song has become a banner song for me. It has become one that I turn to in times of difficulty, in times of fear. In the last 3 months, there have been weeks on end where I haven't listened to it at all, but then all of a sudden it'll pop back up on my phone, or I remember it and I'll turn it back on, and it washes over me with a sense of peace. It helps me to remember that I do not need to fear. Like the Zach Williams song from yesterday, the fear is a liar. It's feeding something in me that causes torment and anxiety. And I really truly believe that God does not want us to be anxious. God isn't making everything perfect. God does not make life easy. God does not automatically heal my husband. It doesn't keep him from getting sick. All of those things that happen in life happen. But God's presence, the Spirit's ability to be with us, to wash over us, gives us the strength we need to combat those difficult things, including combating the lie that fear gives me. Am I fearful that my husband will die? Absolutely. I had a rough Christmas. Putting up the ornaments, wondering, is he going to be around next year for me to do this with? Taking the ornaments down, putting things away on Saturday the 7th. That's when after Epiphany, after the Christmas season is over, that's when I took everything down. And as I took down the ornaments that were from his childhood and the ones that we had been given or we purchased together as a couple, I was overwhelmed by fear. The thought that, what if he's not here next year? What if he is taken from me? And it was paralyzing. I had to stop for a while. And then I remembered. If that is the case, if something does happen, there is no indication that anything would happen. But if that does happen, I do not stand alone. I stand in God's love. I stand with the people who love me around me, the people who love Rob, the people who have given me strength in the past, those who God will bring into my life that will give me strength in the future. I will not stand alone, but I will not stand in fear. Now, there have been moments when I've had to remember that, go back, and I get that sense of anxiety and that feeling like I can't breathe and like, what happens if something happens to him? And take a deep breath. If something happens to him, something will happen. He's not going to live to be 1,000. Something will happen to him eventually. When it does, whenever that might happen, I will have the strength to deal with it. And I will praise God that I had such a beautiful person in my life, someone that taught me how to love, and someone who allowed me to love them. But in the meantime, I have to choose to stand in God's love. I have to choose to celebrate the gift of life and love and hope that I have been given, that I share with my husband, rather than choose to live in the lie that fear provides me. Don't get me wrong, fear is a very tempting power. That lie can easily overwhelm. But then I come back and I remember standing in God's love. Stand in your love. That's where I need to be. That's what I need to focus on. So as you move forward in life, if things are great for you, awesome, I'm glad. But there will come a time when fear starts to creep in. If you're in a time of great fear right now, then trust me, you can get through this. But I encourage you, take a listen to this song. You don't have to be Christian to understand it. The message may speak to you anyway. But if you are Christian, I really do encourage you to listen to this. I'll put the link in the caption below so you can you can Google it or click on it and see the video. It is a powerful song. At least it has been for me. It doesn't have to be for you. But your powerful song may not hold meaning for me. But don't ever underestimate the power that song can have to overcome the fear and to remind you of hope. Have a good day. And I hope it's a day filled with hope and peace and joy and a decreasing amount of fear. Know that you are loved. I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel. God bless you.